Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Monday, September the 2nd, 2024. I'm Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral.
I am Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, the executive minister. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ plus community. Surveys show that evangelical faith is the justification for the greatest attacks on the LGBTQ plus community.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, the Minister of Education. The Queer God Squad is going to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you.
I am Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, the Minister of Connections. This is live, and then we are available on demand. If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform and social media.
At Sunshine Cathedral, we're here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. How religion is causing LGBTQ plus support to dip slightly. According to The Advocate, a study from GLAAD shows that support for the LGBTQ plus equality remains high in the United States, but negative rhetoric is having an impact. There continues to be supermajority support for equal rights for LGBTQ plus people, standing at 80%. But that's down from the record 84% reported last year. GLAAD President and CEO Sarah Kate Elias wrote, and I quote, "Extremist politicians, unchecked and enabled in the media, including social media, have relentlessly targeted LGBTQ people with harmful legislative proposals and disinformation campaigns. The same lawmakers and extremists judge targeting abortion, access to contraception, immigration, voting rights, and free speech are using the same strategies of fear and disinformation," end quote. The good news is that not only does support for LGBTQ plus rights remain high, but 95% of non-LGBTQ people seem to believe that schools should be safe and accepting for all youth. And 93% think children should be taught to appreciate and accept people as they are. 91% believe LGBTQ plus people should be able to live their lives free from fear, and 89% want LGBTQ plus people freedom to feel free from discrimination. The overall picture is optimistic, but the Queer God Squad reminds you that there is still work to do. We can never take our freedoms or security for granted. I have, as often said recently, I have never been one about polls. I only believe in exit polls. But when you look at surveys like this, and this also reminds me about what's happening in this particular survey, how much the landscape has changed since COVID around support for this, people against that, legislations that are being introduced to harm one group and not another group. I mean, everything seems to be like on the buffet line right now. Yeah. And people are just walking through, picking and choosing what they find helpful. People walking through and picking and choosing what they want to push harm on other people. And I think we have to be mindful of the big picture. A, we're all in this together. Yeah. And B, that we cannot take anything for granted. And I don't care what polls are showing may favor one or the other. We can't take any of that for granted. And even when these types of polls come out about, how the gay community is lining up, we can't take we can't sit on the sideline and not be inactive when it comes to standing up for women's rights, for voting rights, for standing up for people against housing insecurity. There's a lot on the table. And we as people of faith, or the LGBTQ community, have to stand up and let ourselves be seen and also be heard, because that is the most important thing that we can have.
Yep.
Yeah, the Apostle Paul said faith comes by hearing. Mm-hmm. And the Jesuits used to say, give us your kids until they're 7 and we'll have them for life. Well, 7 years of hearing the same thing over and over and over, that's formed a brain, mm-hmm. And even after we're fully developed, one of the techniques in wartime used to be propaganda. What was it? Tokyo Rose?
Yeah.
So she would just say all kinds of mean stuff on the radio, like, oh, your government doesn't really believe in you and you're going to lose. And, you're running from us all the time. And like, it was just all of this negative, ugly stuff to dispirit them, to demoralize them. Well, if you hear something over and over and over, whether it's uplifting or degrading, it tends to take. It will eventually take. Yeah. Faith comes by hearing. So what you hear over and over and over again, you start to believe, or at least wonder, could that be true? So yes, this rhetoric of it's all terrible and you're all terrible and they're coming for you, they're destroying the family, whatever. Some people are going to be persuaded by that just because they've heard it over and over and over. So what we have to do is we have to offer a counter narrative so that people can hear something good over and over and over. Because it's not always reason that's persuasive. It's not always even, flash and glitz that's persuasive. Sometimes it's just, you were just inundated with it.
Yes.
And we need to be giving a counter narrative. Why do you need pride? Because we do, and we're going to have it, and we're going to celebrate it all the time. We're going to celebrate it 12 months a year, and we're going to wave our flags, and we're going to have our drag shows, and don't let them take that from us.
Right.
Because that's why they want to take it from us, because we're saying something beautiful and empowering over and over again, and it makes a difference. So they want to squash that and call it bad, and it's bad for kids, and it's bad for families, and there's nothing decent about it, blah, blah. Well, they can say whatever they want to, and we can say whatever we want to, and we need to give this counter narrative, this uplifting narrative, this LGBTQ plus pride narrative, this you are God's miracle and not God's mistake narrative, over and over and over as many ways as possible, and as long as we are able to do it. That's why the support has diminished a bit, and that's why it's going to increase a bit, because we've got something to say, and we're just going to say it over and over and over.
And I think for the folks in our community, particularly young folks, but not exclusively, they need to hear this.
Yeah.
They really, really need to hear us. The numbers are great, dropping a little bit, but they will come back up. And I think that folks really need to hear this message because young people in our queer community, seniors, everybody, probably even us, sometimes we hear that and it's like, oh, this may really rub us the wrong way. But we need to support each other. We need to support our community. We need to let people know that we are there. We're here, we're queer.
Yeah, I think that was the power of the DNC this year.
Oh, yeah.
That they said beautiful, uplifting, encouraging, empowering things over and over and over. And by the end of the week, we felt like we lived in a whole new country.
Right.
Because we've been hearing negative stuff over and over. Now we're hearing positive stuff over and over. And it made a difference.
It brought the joy back.
I'm with Reverend Dr. Robert when we talk about polls and surveys.
Yeah.
There are a snapshot of a particular moment, but they don't always reflect what we hear every single day. And when we listen to the media, you would think that there are 1 billion people against equal rights, 1 billion people against reproductive rights, 1 billion people against so many things that are against love.
Yeah.
It is that, and I'm sound like a conspiracy theorist, but most of the media is controlled by very few corporations, and those corporations have a need for nastiness to be put out there because that's how they sell
They're
ad
selling
space.
a product.
That's how they sell it. So
about
growing up, I always heard, if it bleeds, it leads. So that's still what happens. When you turn on your television tonight and you go to the news, the first 4 to 6 minutes will be death and murder and mayhem. And if it's not in your community, they're going to go out of your community to find it because that, again, is what sells. So I am comforted to know that 90+% of people support this, 80% of people support that. We have to understand that it is a constant message that we have to put out. And that is that there is still a community, many communities that are disenfranchised, that need support, that need to be heard. So, I'm happy to know that the generations that follow me will be better for America. And we have to understand that the message that they hear makes a difference. So we got to be careful. We got to be strong.
And I think the question is, we re-engage all of this, and if we want to bring these numbers up, is like, look at what brings us love, hope, and joy. If it's not loving, don't do it. If it's not bringing you hope, set it aside. And if it's bringing you joy, keep doing it.
Exactly.
I am encouraged, and you have to remember, you just have to look at facts. Facts are so great. That almost 3 million people voted for Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump. She got more votes by 3 million. She got almost 3 million more votes than the person who got the presidency because of this bizarre electoral college system, which isn't democratic and actually came about to protect the racist South.
Yes.
That they could count, without giving full humanity to certain people, they could count them as 3/5 of a person, and then that helped their numbers with the electoral college. It was madness. And usually it didn't, maybe only once in history did it really interfere, until the 21st century, where already twice
Yeah.
it has robbed the people's vote to put someone else in power. Now, one time it was very close, and it took a Supreme Court vote. The other time it was just theft. She got 3 million more votes. Then 4 years later, Biden got 7 million more votes. Now he got more votes than he had before too, but 7 million more. I think goodness, I think decency, I think inclusion, I think caring about people, I think not just demonizing everyone and wanting the worst for everybody. I don't think that's the majority.
No.
I think the opposite might be the majority, and by almost 10 million even.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But the issue is, yes, this horrible electoral college and gerrymandering, but also non-voters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-voters. When we vote, we win. You gotta vote. If you've moved, make sure that your new information is registered. If you haven't registered, fix that now. Go to the League of Women Voters and find out everything you need to know, because you have to. I think goodness is the majority, but we've got to overcome things like the electoral college and gerrymandering. So we have to vote en masse, and that can't happen if people don't vote.
Yeah.
Right.
So vote. Get your friends to vote, because I really think compassion and goodness is the majority. We've just got to believe that about ourselves and get out there and do our part.
Yeah. Amen.
And just to push on that point again about making sure that you're registered. You may think that you're a registered voter, but over the past couple of years, a number of tactics have been used to purge voting, voting
Registration and
registration without you even knowing it. You may not have even moved, but something happened where you were removed from the rolls. Check on it today. Check now.
And some places like Texas, where you register online, where you think you're registering online, it's not a registration online.
No.
You fill it out, then you're meant to print it and mail it in.
Yep.
So make sure of that. Also, if you're nervous around the computer, you don't understand it, get a young kid, get a grandkid, get a neighbor, get the paper boy. Do people still take the paper? But get somebody who gets it to help you, because there are lots of little sneaky tricks like
there
that.
are.
Yes.
So make sure if you're doing it online that it goes through, that it is online.
Yep.
Make sure that you are registered, and then vote.
Yeah. If your vote wasn't important, they wouldn't be going through all this crap.
That's
to
right.
take it from you.
Exactly. There are people trying to take away early voting and mail-in voting. Oh, it should be on the day. Well, then give us the day.
Yeah.
If you're not going to make it a national holiday where we all are free to do it, then no, that's just another voter suppression tactic.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So vote every time, because if we all vote every time, they're not going to be able to take it away from us.
That's right.
Amen.
All right. Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad. We want to thank you for joining us. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. And we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.